Okay, so we are moving to the third module of this part, that is fourth week lecture, and we have already talked about knowledge capture, knowledge audit part, and the third part is related to designing the knowledge management team. And when I am talking about designing the knowledge management team, basically we have to see that what would be the composition, who is going to form the team, okay, whether going to have people from inside or from outside, okay, what would be the structure in terms of organization, strategy and technology. Okay. So, there could be a number of issues that we are going to look into. So, if you look at the topics that we are likely to cover is what are the sources of expertise which is required for the knowledge management team, and then also we need to see that what are the requirements, controls, management buy-ins and users buy-in, and then also look into the structure of the KM team in terms of how it is to be organized, where it will be positioned strategically, okay, and what kind of technology they would be using. And then we have to make a balance, right, balance between the technical and the managerial expertise both, okay, and so that we are able to manage the stakeholders expectations. And then we will also look into some other issues like lifespan, size and other kind of things. So, with this introduction, I am going to talk about the knowledge management team. Now, what do you mean by a KM team? It's nothing else but a set of people who is going to be part of the knowledge management project, right? And since KM system is built on the expertise, knowledge, understanding, skills and insights from various stakeholders, okay. So, what we need to look at it that, okay, that all these people come together at a common platform, so that they can work together, and once they form a team, then they would be able to carry out the project effectively. Now, if you look at this, you can see that we have people from the strategy, people from the knowledge management areas, HR people, even finance, IT and marketing, and all these are going to get integrated with what you call the knowledge analyst, because knowledge analyst is going to see that how they are going to bring the expectations of different stakeholders together, how they are going to bring the knowledge set of different expertise together, and then how they are going to integrate this knowledge into the KM system, right. So, the role of knowledge management in that way is very, very important. Now, if you look at the sources of expertise, from where the knowledge is coming, right, from where we draw the knowledge, right, the knowledge comes from different sources, right. And when it comes to forming the team of experts to be a part of the knowledge management team, so you have to see that whether people are going to be from one department or various departments, okay. So, the idea is that to bring out people from different sources, people with expertise, right, and we can also include those who do not have expertise, because they would be having a different perspective altogether. So, we need to bring both experts and non-experts, right. So, they could be people from the within the organization, from different departments, okay. They could be people from IT department, because IT provides the infrastructure, the backbone for storage and retrieval. And then you have to see that who are the experts locally, or also from other stakeholders who could be included, and they could be like vendors, suppliers, right, contractors, your knowledge partners and also consultants, okay. And then you also need to look into the end users and the front line, which is basically responsible for running and managing and maintaining the show, and with which basically end users are going to interact, okay. So, if you look at the sources of expertise, you need to identify various sources, and then you have to see that how these various sources which of expertise is coming from different sources, okay, are going to be integrated, and how are going to make use of them, right. So, this is about the sources of expertise. Now, moving to the knowledge management team. Now, if you look at this, you can very clearly see that the role of what is the role of the knowledge management team in the process. They need to strike the right balance. What do you mean by striking the right balance? They need to see that there are various issues related to the KM system and how they are going to manage or strike the balance. For example, what are the risks that is associated with this program. Similarly, what is the benefits or the payoff. So, they need to make a balance between the cost and benefit, and they have to see that yes, the benefit exceeds or the payoff exceeds compared to the costs, right. And then the kind of impact this KM program is going to have in the long run. What I mean to say is that the likely impact in the short term as well as in the long term, because if you do not have a short term impact immediately, then people may not be convinced and may not go for it. So, you have to look for short term wins as well as also you also need to ensure that there are long term impacts of the project, and people know that yes, this is how it is going to be successful. Then you also need to look into it from the organizational perspective. Okay. Like what is the strategic impact? It means that what kind of a strategy you are going to adopt for the knowledge management, and whether this is going to help you to achieve business strategy or the corporate strategy on the one hand, and then how knowledge management system is going to improve your bottom line. What do you mean by bottom line? Bottom line means that how it is going to improve productivity, profits, efficiency, quality. So, if it is able to bring about these kind of things on the one hand, and it is going to help you to achieve certain strategic objectives, then probably KM team is justified in doing the right kind of thing. And finally, you have to look at especially when it comes to the system, knowledge management system, and there where you are going to make a right balance between the function and the scope. Function means what is the role of the knowledge management system, what does it going to do for you, and similarly the extent to which it could be applied, that is the scope, where you are going to apply the knowledge contained to the knowledge elements that is stored in the KM system. Okay. So, the KM team is responsible for a lot of things, right, looking to the balance into the cost benefits, looking into the impacts in the short term as well as long term, also looking at how it is going to help organization to improve its profit, also need to convince people or the users about the benefits, okay, how it can be applied, okay, what are the different activities that can be taken up, right. So, the knowledge management team is very important, and that is why we need to discuss it, and it is very important. Now, looking into the various stakeholders who are going to be part of the KM team. Okay. So, we can have local experts and interdepartmental experts. Interdepartmental and local experts are the people who are already working in the organizations, who are with the company, okay, who are really committed and dedicated to this. They know about the technology and they know how to use this. Okay. It means you know that there are some people in the organization who are really motivated and do something that is creative and innovative. So, in the process what happens that whenever you announce that you are going to have a KM system, so these are the early adopters, they would like to experiment with and use it for doing something that is important. Okay. So, you can say that they are more adaptable to the technology, and that is where it is very important to look into these people who are early adopters to the technology, right. And in the process, since they know about the systems and processes, they would be able to better adapt to the system. Now, apart from these experts who are early adopters to the technology, you also have people from non-technology domain, right. And you need to see that how these non-technology domain people is going to use the system, because it is very important, and it is not only meant for the experts, but it is meant for everybody. So, anybody can make use of the knowledge management system. So, you have to see that what is the possible use of various features of the knowledge management system that you have included. So, since it is meant for domain experts, but it is at the same time it is also meant for those who are not domain experts, who are working in different field, maybe from the marketing, maybe from the HR, maybe from the finance, other areas, who are not technically as experts as people in the production and R&D departments, right. So, the people who are working in the non-technological area, they should be also it should be also useful to them, so that it helps them to grow and develop. Then you have to see that these local experts basically they would be able to identify and pinpoint what are the drawbacks and the advantages of having a particular system. Okay. So, the role of local experts in one sense is also important, that once they start using, they can give you feedback that how well the system is working, and accordingly you can make modifications or changes, you can go for upgradations of the system, or even you can make the changes in the systems, okay, so that it is going to be more useful. So, it is very important to keep in mind the local experts who are from the organization. They could be from one department or they will be working in different departments. Okay. They could be experts in the technology and may not be the experts of technology. So, you have to consider both local experts who are in the domain of technology and those who are not in the domain of technology. So, that you can get both the perspectives to get the feedback from the system and see that how it can be used. Now, another important role that is played by people is related to IT infrastructures. Since most of the KM systems today are IT enabled, okay, so you have to see that how the IT department is going to play a very crucial role, okay, because IT department understands lot of things which non IT people may not be able to understand, like they can understand the technology in terms of the integration of the software and hardware. Okay. What is the capabilities of the systems, what are the limitations of the systems, right. Then they can also look into the issues related to compatibility of different systems, how it is going to be connected to the users, okay. And they can also look at the overall technology infrastructure, right. So, the role of IT is to, since it is to maintain and manage the system, and they also know about the various advantages and disadvantages that the kind of systems that they have. It is very important to keep them in the loop, and that is why IT departments people are required as a part of the knowledge management team. So, since they are going to work with the technology, they are going to resolve issues related to compatibility, connectivity and other things, and they also are going to look into the various platforms, like whether they are going Unix, Linux or Windows based platforms, okay, and how you are going to work across these platforms, or people are going to work across these platforms. So, they might look into standardization issues. For example, there is one program or one system which is working on one platform, say Windows based platform, but it may not work on other platforms, right, like nodes or others. So, you have to see that how you are going to standardize these issues and solve them, right. Then you have to see that how people are going to adapt to the technology. Okay. So, you need to make it as user friendly as possible, okay, because adapting to work with a new technology by the people is very, very important. So, if you are going to have an IT system, ensure that people are trained and willing to learn that and they are able to use it, because unless they are going to use it, it is not going to be useful. So, it is very, very important that you make them understand the technicalities that is involved in the tools and how they can adapt to it. Then you also need to identify certain people, especially select those people who are going to act as a bridge between the end users and the technologies, right, and these people should have the credibility, okay, because ultimately they would be interacting with the end users, right. So, they could be the technical experts within the IT systems who would be interacting or acting as a bridge between the system and the end users, okay. And when you are going to have a very integrated systems having different kind of platforms and technologies, then you have to see that how it can be integrated. Here I am giving one example of platinum technology KM system, which was basically designed for the sales people, okay. So, the system was working very well, and the sales people knew that how they are going to work with the system, okay. So, there was also a provision of giving feedback. The system was integrated, so that sales people could interact and relate with each other. At the same time, they know the kind of technology that was being used. They were also familiar with the different kind of platform that was being used, okay, and how they are going to work with these platforms, and that really helped them to boost the sales revenue, right. So, the role of IT department is very, very important in the process. Okay. Now, coming to what we call non-local experts and extra departmental gurus. It means those who are not experts, but in technology, but in KM system, but they are experts in their domain or their areas, right. So, basically those who are non-local experts, they act as a bridge, okay, are interpreters between the people from different backgrounds, skill areas and specializations. Like I am a person HR. So, if I am going to use the system KM system, which is basically technology enabled. So, I would be in a position to tell them that they see these are the things that is required by us, and these are the things that need to be integrated with the systems, right. So, that KM people or the IT people or knowledge developers can understand these requirements related to the specialization of non-experts and integrate them with the system. Okay. And these people are since they are experts in their domain, they know what is to be included. So, they are much better and they also learn faster compared to others, because they have an open mind and open perspective compared to those people who are a part of the system. So, we have seen that in such cases people from other domain who are not experts, they learn much better compared to other, because they have the curiosity, the right kind of mindset to see that yes, so this is something new that we need to learn compared to those who are a part of the systems or those who are experts, because experts can easily adopt and they need to don't need to push much effort in the process. But non-local experts have to put in lot of effort, but they are really interested, they would be much faster to learn it, right. And that is how you can create synergy, because you are pooling resources from different sources, okay, and that brings synergy to them, because in that way you will be able to interact and relate, create a lot of knowledge pool which could be used by all the team members, okay, provided you have a team which is cross functional in nature, right. And these people also need to learn what the language, that is lingo, to understand in terms of storage, retrieval and use of the knowledge content, okay, and they should also be understand the entire framework of knowledge management system, that how it works. So, it is very important for the domain experts to make them understand, those who are non domain experts or not experts in the process, that see this is the entire framework and that is how it works, and they need to make them understand in the language which is understood by them, right, not in the technical language, right. And these non-local experts, once they understand it, they would be in a better position to use it, and they can provide their own perspective, because technical perspective may be limited in their sense, but the non-technical perspective may be much more broader, because they can visualize that they see how this system is going to affect them or help them to do or perform well. And in the process, they would be able to extract more and more to and make use of it to be creative and try to solve the problem in a very rational manner. Okay. Because once they have the input, the information, then they can apply that information to solve the problem. And you know that when you are talking about rationality in decision making, rationality comes from where? When you have good amount of information, and not only good amount of information, but also the quality of information. So, suppose if you have sufficient information and quality information, then you can make use of it to make good decisions, which could be much more rational than intuitive, right. Lack of information help you to make intuitive decisions, but when it comes to having good quality information and you have a huge amount of information, then you can make use of it to make good quality decisions, right. So, that is where non-local experts also have a role to play. Now, coming to non-local experts, we are going to use a concept that is very important in the process, is known as laterality. Now, laterality is what? Laterality actually is a process where you are not using a straight jacketed thinking approach, okay, where you are not a part of the convergent thinking, but basically laterality refers to the capability to think divergently. It means that you can adopt diverse approaches, various approaches to solve a problem, right. So, how this laterality comes into the team? The laterality comes into the team where you are having people from diverse background, okay, where you are having people from experts who are from different functional areas. So, if you, in the sense that if you have cross functional domain experts, right, and if they are able to relate with each other in the team, probably you will have the best synergy, right. And that is why when you are going to form a knowledge management team, one of the important thing that you need to look at is that go for a cross functional team which is really experts in their domain, not necessarily in the domain of technology, so that they can think creatively, they can pool their knowledge resources from different functional areas which can be used by each other, and that is why laterality as such is very, very important, right. Now, we are taking this concept of laterality further, right, and that is how we have come out with communities of practices. So, if you look at these communities of practices, it is a set of people who are domain experts in different functional areas, and they evolve certain practices which could be termed as best practices or which could be benchmarked, okay. And this is generated on the basis of knowledge sharing from all the members of the team, right. So, now if you look at the various characteristics of these communities of practices, here what happens that the communities, it means the people who are form the community or who is a part of the group, they actually have divergent viewpoints, right. The training, the background, the role which they are performing in the organization may be different, because somebody is in marketing, somebody is in finance, somebody is in production, somebody is in sales, somebody is in R&D. So, each one of them are having different roles. Similarly, they may be senior managers, they may be junior managers, their training, their perspective is different, right. So, when they interact and relate with each other, okay, as a group, and they come out something that is good for the organization, then that is what we know as communities of practices, okay. And all of them work for a common cause, right. And when they are engaged in project, okay, they build it, they solve the problem, they deliver the services, okay, by using real tools. So, actually these kind of teams could be called self managed, right. Why we are calling it self managed teams? Because these teams which are you can say that is a part of the knowledge management, right, team, they have cross functional domain expertise with different characteristics, they evolve certain practices, they make use of it to ensure that group delivers, right, and is put to use, and these kind of things are known as practices which is adopted by particular community of knowledge workers, okay, or that who are part of the team. And these people basically are very, very creative. So, they come out with patents, trademarks, okay. They develop languages, okay, a part of the culture which is shared within the organization, okay, and they also develop new skills, because when you interact and relate people, what happens that you are going to develop new skills with each other, right. And then you are going to bring and make sure that these changes are more sustainable in nature. So, when you are adopting new practices, new systems, you come out with benchmark systems and practices, and when you share a knowledge and generate it, then you make sure that it has a lasting impact on the people. Now, if you look at this concept of laterality, one thing is very, very important, okay, because at each stage you will find that yes, consultants, whether they are going to be from within the organization or from outside, they should also form or they should be a part of the KM team. Now, when if you look at the role of consultant, one thing that you need to decide that whether they are going to be from within the organization or from outside the organization, right. Now, the criteria to select a consultant is to see that the extent to which they would be able to contribute, right, and they would be able to transfer the knowledge which they have to the people, right. So, that should be the sole criteria for deciding about the consultant, that they should be in a position to transfer or their knowledge to the employees with which they are going to work. Okay. Now, apart from this transferring knowledge to the employees, we also need to consider some other issues, and these issues may include like what is the reputation and integrity of the consultant, okay, and how this reputation comes out, how this integrity works out based on experience and the knowledge of the people, the kind of project that he has delivered, right, in terms of the kind of outcome. So, you can look into the achievement record of these consultants, how well they have worked in past projects, and that would give an idea, okay, that whether they can really help you in the process or not. Okay. So, if you look at the history in the past records of the projects that they have delivered, outcome that has been achieved by them. So, all this will really help you to see that they will be able to contribute. Okay. Now, because sometimes what happens that these kind of things are not available. So, it may not help you to decide about it. Okay. Similarly, you have to see that they are not going to work on similar projects with their competitors, because in that case what happens, you will not be able to have an edge over your competitors. To make sure that the consultants that you are going to hire, if he is going to work on similar projects, so with a competitor, then you make use of that instead of going your getting your knowledge to be transferred to their competitors, right. And then you have to ensure that people are those who are part of the knowledge management team have trust on the consultants, otherwise they would not be able to share their knowledge and other things with the consultant. Since if the consultant is from outside, if the consultant is from within, then the issue of trust is not there, because he is known to the person. Now, look at the KM team structure, how the KM team can be formed. Now, if you look at this structure, you can see that on this side the project sponsors are there, right. So, these project sponsors tell you about what? Okay, that the role of senior managers is very important. Okay. It is the senior managers or the top managers who are going to sponsor the project, a KM project, because it involves cost, money and resources. Okay. So, the commitment from the top management to the senior managers, their dedication to this cause is very important, and they should be actually convinced by the knowledge team that how it is going to help you. And when I am talking about the balance, yes, of course, you need to convince and communicate them about the payoffs, okay, in what way it is going to benefit, what kind of impact it is going to have. Okay. So, if these issues are brought into the top management, probably they would be ready to sponsor this kind of project. Now, another issue is that where are going to be HR managers? Are they going to be the part of the KM team, or they would be kept in the loop? Okay. So, the idea is that top managers, since they would not be able to integrate on a regular basis with that KM team, they should be kept only in the loop, because they cannot be part of the KM team. Similarly, HR cannot be a part of the KM team, but they should also be kept in the loop, because they should understand, okay, that what is happening with the KM system, because ultimately it is going to be used by the employees, okay, and the employees are managed by the HR people. Okay. So, the HR managers and project sponsors, that is top managers, must be kept into the loop. Okay. Now, if you look at the structure, you have people from the finance, HR, IT, marketing, corporate strategy people. Okay. So, all these people are going to integrate their activities with the knowledge managers, okay, who is going to have a team, and many organizations have created positions like chief knowledge managers or chief learning officers. These kind of positions have been created, and they are going to form a team of people from cross functional domain who are experts who can contribute to the KM system, right. Now, if you look at the structuring of the knowledge management team, right, you can see that first we have to look at the team, then we will go on and look into the technology, and the most important is the organization, right. These are the three backbones of the knowledge management team. So, first of all we will talk about the team. Okay. So, if you look at the team, there could be different kind of teams related to say users, it could be related to finance, marketing, other functional areas, right. So, you can include people from different areas, functional areas, okay, including the end users, those who are good, who can adopt it to early, right. Then what is the role in the KM project? Okay, because these people can provide expertise, functional expertise related to their areas. For example, it is the KM system is not going to be only about the product innovation, but it could be also related to recruitment. Okay, it could also be related to how to go for our plan for a strategy, or it could be related to how to devise a new pricing strategy, right. So, the idea is that you need to bring functional expertise at a particular platform, okay, where they are going to work together. So, make sure that these people are having expertise in their specific domain, right. and they also participate in the process design stage. Okay. Because when the knowledge management system is being designed, okay, they should be a part to it, okay, and they should also be a part in the implementation process, because ultimately they are going to ask as functional heads in their respective departments that okay, this is the system and how it could be beneficial for us and how we are going to use it, right. Now, what are the characteristics that is required by different set of people? They must understand their process, okay, and now they must have a good interviewing skills, interpersonal skills, sorry, okay, so that they can interact and relate with each other, okay, and they should have credibility. So, the domain experts must have the credibility within the participating groups, otherwise they would not be, there would be lack of trust and confidence, and they would not be able to interact and relate, okay. And then they have to see it from others perspective, okay, like an HR manager, I must understand what is the perspective of the marketing people, or as a production manager I must be able to understand the marketing perspective or the HR perspective, because unless we are not going for these kind of things, probably you are not going to have a very comprehensive team which is going to work together, right. Thank you. Okay.